Having a real sense of adventure in our lives comes from having presence, from being curious about life and ourselves and the world around us. It comes when we have a willingness to be open and when we decide to interrupt living in our autopilot. That is what I think a true sense of adventure in life means. I feel like there's a common misconception about what adventure actually means. We think about going to places that are new, far away, close by. We think about money. We think about time. We think about being somewhere that we are not currently at when it does come to having a sense of adventure. However, I do not think that is true. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because at the start of 2026, I decided that I am going to be dedicating myself to having more adventure and exploration in my life because I live a pretty mundane life. I am a master's student. I do this podcast. I work full time. A lot of my time I am sitting right here typing away on my computer, trying to take care of my tasks when it does come to these various things in my life. And I feel like I need a sense of adventure. I feel like this is kind of like a common thing that I've been seeing a lot on social media and the online spaces and just hearing from other people. I feel like we are all craving to just get outside and to explore and to try new things. I feel as though this is just a common sort of feeling that we are all having at like a mass level. And so today I just wanted to talk about this because I know that I am not alone in this feeling of wanting to have more adventure and exploration in my own life. So today we are just going to be talking about the common misconceptions when it does come to adventure, like super briefly, and then we're going to be going into some tangible ways and little things that you can do to create more adventure in life. I literally wrote down a list of 26 things that I am going to try to implement into my own life in 2026, and we'll be talking about some other things in this podcast episode as well, but I just really want to inspire you to have a sense of adventure in your life as well, if this is a feeling that you are wanting to have. And I'm wanting it too, so we're in it together at the end of the day. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of To Be Known. If you're new here, my name is Makayla Morman, and I am your go-to girl when it comes to anything personal development related in your 20s. I don't care if you're older or if you're younger, having a sense of adventure, I think, is something that is a lifelong project. All of us want to maintain sort of having this freshness in our lives, and having a sense of adventure and exploration in our day-to-day, our weekly, our monthly, our yearly is something that I think we all crave on a human level. It's really natural to want to have newness and a sense of adventure, but you don't have to escape your current life in order to have the sense of adventure. Today, I am going to be sharing with you some of the things that I am implementing into my own life to create adventure so that you can do the same thing with the life that you already have. We are going to be talking about redefining what adventure actually can mean in our lives, why we sort of live in this numbness of autopilot and how you can break out of it, as well as, again, that tangible list of things that I'm going to be implementing into my own life so that you can do it in yours as well. If you are wanting to have more adventure in your life, you don't need to travel far. You don't need to break the bank. You don't need to completely blow up your life in order to have a sense of newness and exploration and adventure. You can do it right now with all of these little things that I'm going to be sharing with you today. In order for us to have more of a sense of adventure in our lives, we actually have to stop at ground zero first and figure out what this word means to us, what personal narrative we have when it does come to the sense of adventure. Because I feel like, at least for me, when I think of adventure, I think of all of the travel content that I see on social media, even just people that I know who are going on these trips to Europe or Asia or faraway countries that I personally have never been to, or even just cities nearby that I just haven't had time to go to or the budget to travel. When it does come to having a sense of adventure, a lot of it kind of is tied with having these experiences that are very luxurious, that cost a lot of money, when in reality, that is not what adventure is all about. Adventure is a feeling. It is not something that has a price point on it. It is not a tangible experience. It is a feeling. And to me, the best way that I can describe what having the sense of adventure in your life looks like, it's with these three things. Novelty, presence, and a slight risk. When it comes to the piece of novelty that encompasses this sense of adventure, it is just about doing something that feels different. It doesn't matter how different, how small or big this feeling of novelty is, it just has to be there. And then there's the feeling of presence, which just means that you are actually noticing what you are doing instead of living in that autopilot, instead of having yourself numb out. It's making sure that you are being grounded in the present moment instead of letting your mind wander to another place. And then there's the component of a risk that comes with adventure. And I'm not talking about putting yourself into danger. I'm not a huge fan of danger myself. However, when it does come to risk and adventure, this means that you are stretching yourself in a way, either emotionally or socially, that is not your typical behavior. This means that maybe you're interacting with new people or doing something alone when you hate doing things alone. Maybe it is that you're asking deeper questions in conversations. It makes you feel something that feels a little bit risky. When it does come to adventure, it's us putting ourselves out there into the world to try something new. And inherently, that does make us vulnerable. Remember, adventure is not about trying to escape your life. It's about re-entering it from a new angle. That is when you can actually feel like you are very connected and grounded in your life. Even though you're simply living out your day to day, it is about a new perspective, a new mindset, a new shift that you have within yourself. What has driven me to wanting to do an episode talking about having more adventure in an ordinary life is the fact that I have noticed that I live in very much autopilot and just sort of having the same day every single day, which is not a bad thing at all. I feel very safe and secure within my life, and I found a lot of success within myself by creating a good routine that genuinely serves me. However, at the same time, life can feel a little flat when you do the same thing over and over again. I have a feeling that you probably clicked on this episode because you're feeling the same way. You might be feeling like you're living in Groundhog Day, where every single day feels like it is the same, where you take the same routes to the coffee shop or the grocery store, you have the same routines, you have the same conversations, and honestly, it could feel mundane. When we are living in this sense of sameness, it doesn't necessarily mean that our lives are boring. I still find fun in my day to day, even though a lot of the things I do are the same day in and day out. It just means that when I'm having these feelings of feeling like I don't have any adventure, feeling like I am bored, even though my life isn't boring, it just means that there's parts of my life and myself that are unexamined. Boredom is an unexplored emotion. It is showing you that there is a lack either going on with your attention within your life that you need to figure out how to make more full for yourself. And that is what we are going to be talking about today, is how can you make your life a little bit more fulfilling? How can you make your life have a sense of adventure so that you don't sit there thinking, oh my God, is my life boring? I'm living the same day in and day out. Everything is the same. It can feel very overwhelming when you kind of sit back and realize, hey, I'm kind of just living on autopilot and I need something new. I want you to remember that boredom is just a sign of feeling disengaged in your life. And the good news about that is that you can re-engage with it today. That's literally what the purpose of this episode is figuring out ways that you can implement into your life to re-engage with yourself. Because when you do feel bored in your life, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are out of options, that you are out of fun things to do in your life, to have a sense of adventure. It doesn't mean that that is not available to you. It just means that you need to re-engage with yourself and figure out how to implement new things into your life, either small or big, to make this feeling come within. Here are 26 things that you can implement into your own life so that you can have more of a sense of adventure in it. Now, these are all things I'm implementing into my own life that you can steal from me. However, take what you want and leave what you don't want, but I'm excited personally to implement all of these into my life. So hopefully you are too. The first thing being leaving my headphones at home. I am someone where I go on a walk twice a day. I go work at the coffee shop and I wear my headphones everywhere whenever I do those things. And sometimes I'm not even listening to anything, but it's just the habit of putting them on so that I could listen to if any texts come in or any phone calls or any messages like I need to hear and reply to at a moment's notice. However, I am going to leave my headphones at home so that I can be more present in my environment and maybe even engage with the people that I do see while I'm on a walk, because I feel as though when you have headphones on, people don't really want to say anything to you or say hi or stop and talk. And maybe I want to be interrupted so that I can have new conversations in my life to have more of a sense of adventure and connection and presence to the world around me. The second thing is to buy weekly flowers and create your own floral arrangements. This is something that I used to do, especially at the beginning of To Be Known, because I would make weekly podcasts and have flower arrangements in the background, and it was so fun for me. And I miss that. I miss the adventure of going to Trader Joe's, because that's where I get flowers, and just having some fun in the flower section and just thinking about what it is that I want to have, and then going back home, creating it and having it in my house for the next week. It was definitely like a fun, creative project that led to me having this sense of adventure and newness in my environment. And so that is something that you should implement as well. The third thing when it comes to creating a new sense of adventure within your life is saying yes to something that you usually avoid. I have been trying to get better at this. However, I'm not the best. I feel as though sometimes I say no to plans or just random things out of habit, and just the fact that I have so many responsibilities on my plate that saying no is a lot easier than saying yes to things. However, I want to say yes more, because usually the things that we do avoid saying yes to can actually show us something new about ourselves, our lives, or the people in our lives. And so I think that saying yes to something that you typically avoid is a great way to have more adventure in your life and experience something that you wouldn't typically experience because you say no. The fourth thing is changing something central about my routine for one day. Now, we all have our daily routines. Some people don't have daily routines. I do not know how they survive. However, I am very particular about my own daily routine, and I think that creating a sense of adventure by either, not waking up as early or having a later night. Maybe it means that I don't go on my daily walks around my neighborhood and I go and I adventure and walk in a new place, whatever it means. Changing one thing about my daily routine for one day seems like a very easy barrier to break in when it does come to having a new sense of adventure. Maybe it looks like going to a new coffee shop rather than the typical one that I go to. It does not have to be a massive part of my routine that feels like too foundational, but it should be something central about your routine that you do change for one day. The fifth thing that I wrote down is taking a ceramics class. I have taken a ceramics class with my boyfriend and it was very fun. However, I feel like it's something that I need to go out and do on my own, because I want to meet new people who are in the creative space. And I also just think that it's so fun to see what you can create with your hands with ceramics. It feels like a very easy sort of hobby to get into that's in a third place where I can meet other people. However, it's not as technical as maybe painting is or drawing. I'm lucky to have so many ceramic studios around me. However, I know that not everyone has ceramic studios around them. So if you are someone who wants to get into ceramics and doesn't want to do a class or doesn't have the ability to do that, air drying clay. I've been seeing so many fun little projects online of people who use air drying clay to make magnets or little bowls. And so I think I'm also going to buy some air drying clay as well to do at home, because it just seems like such a hands-on fun little project. Number 6 for wanting to create more adventure in your life is DIY projects. And what I mean by DIY projects is taking things, old tattered things, maybe that you found at the thrift store or maybe Facebook Marketplace, whatever it is, DIY projects. I think that when you do something yourself, you create it yourself or make it better yourself, it leads to a sense of adventure, because you can choose what color you want it to be, what finish you want it to have. When you have your own DIY project going on, you kind of just feel like you are treasure hunting and creating something special for yourself or a loved one. And that can feel very fulfilling when it does come to wanting to have more adventure in your life. I think that just seeing that the world is your oyster and that you could create whatever it is that you want or make something better that already is another way to have a sense of adventure in your life. Number 7, going to a new coffee shop or restaurant. Now, this one is specific to me because I love going to coffee shops and working and buying, a little latte for myself, or going to new restaurants because I love to eat out every once in a while as well. But just really finding a new third place for you to explore. And what I mean by third space is basically like your home is your central space, your first space that you're in. Your second space is your workplace if you do work out of the house. And then a third place is a third place that you go out into the world, whether it's like a bar that you frequent with your friends, a coffee shop, whatever it is that you go to where you can be out in the world that is not work or home. That's a third space. And so trying to find a new third space for you to go to and maybe even become a regular there, I think is another way to have more adventure in your life, because you're just going out and grabbing a little coffee, grabbing a little bite to eat. And I love doing that. Number 8 on my list is paint by numbers / painting in general. For me, I do not typically paint. This is not a hobby that I have. However, I have done a handful of paint and sip classes or paint by numbers, and I always have a good time. And I really feel as though it creates a sense of play and adventure in my own life. I'm not good at painting. I don't have the technical skills. However, when you have like these low effort projects, like a paint by numbers, it makes you have a lot more fun, especially if you're doing it at home. Maybe you're doing it with friends. Maybe you go out to a park and you do a paint by number or painting. You can have a lot of fun and creativity with this. And I feel like that gives you a sense of adventure. Number 9 that I have on my list is making your own store-bought product that you would typically buy in the store. However, you are making it at home. It kind of is very specific and what you can do, at least out of the things that I like and the things that I know that you can make at home. But when it comes to bread that I might buy at the store, now I want to start making it at home and have adventure in trying to make new things for myself that I would typically go out to the store and buy. I think that that kind of creates adventure because you see how things are made and how easily things can be made at home, and also probably save a little bit of money as well. Number 10 on my list is researching local events and going to them monthly. This is something that I've always wanted to do. I feel as though I always look at events in my local area last minute, come like Friday night and I don't know what to do for the weekend. And I never actually go to the event because I didn't really have a plan for it. However, I want to be more intentional about that and look ahead and see what events are going on so that I can make a plan for something that I am going to do that is new and have a sense of adventure. A lot of places that we live at have all of these little fun events that we could go to, whether it is a farmer's market or a karaoke night, or maybe it is like a big food event in your local big city. Whatever it is, there's always an event that you can go to and try something new and just see what's out there for you. Number 11, and this one I feel as though is pretty typical for me to talk about here on the podcast, but it is habit stacking one new wellness habit in your day-to-day routine. Now, I love a good wellness habit to add into my routine. I've honestly kind of been obsessed with it for the past couple of months. However, there's always new things to explore, especially in the world right now on social media, where I feel like there's a new wellness fad that happens every once in a while. Just trying it out and seeing what it is that you do like and don't like when it does come to building up your wellness routine, I feel as though has a little sense of adventure to it. And I don't know, that's something that I'm going to be implementing for myself this year. Number 12 on my list is taking a new route. Now, this is exactly what you think it is. It simply just means taking a new route, either while I'm driving to the grocery store, to the coffee shop, wherever it is, taking a new street that I haven't gone down before. And for the sake of it, taking the scenic route. Maybe it looks like walking in the opposite direction of my typical walk, or going to a new neighborhood, going on a new hike, whatever it is, just taking a new route and seeing what the scenery looks like, even just from a different angle. Whatever it is that you do, just having these new routes or these new ways that we can look at our immediate surroundings can actually tell us a lot about ourselves and presence and how we might be, kind of mindlessly going through our day-to-day routine when it does come to the routes that we do take. And so it is a great way for you to practice more presence in your life, because it really does make you a lot more present when you do go down a new route, even if it's just driving or walking. It's really that simple, but you will notice how it makes you be more attuned to the world around you and just kind of have a sense of adventure that does come with presence and being willing to just try something new in your immediate local area. Number 13 on my list is having one intentional social outreach per week. What I mean by this is maybe it's me talking to someone who I haven't spoken to in a long time, texting them, seeing how they're doing, and just wanting to catch up. Maybe it is as simple as making sure I'm having a conversation with the grocery cashier while I'm checking out. It's being intentional and making sure that I'm connecting with people who maybe I don't typically talk to, but I see on the regular or think about. And just kind of being mindful, because you never know what you might learn when you do have these more intentional social outreaches. It doesn't have to be a crazy 30-minute long conversation. It could just be, making sure that you're actually having a conversation with the cashier at the checkout line when you're at the grocery store, asking them how they are, asking them if they like the food that you have or if they know a product or whatever, or just reaching out to an old friend and seeing how they're doing. Number 14 on my list is trying a new recipe. Now, I am really in the mood to bake and cook at this period of my life right now. And so for me, I'm really wanting to try making new dinner recipes, new meal prepping recipes, new things of baking, because I'm super into baking right now, especially wanting to get into making some breads and some cakes and some fun little desserts or things for myself to have during the week. And so for me, trying out a new recipe maybe once or twice a week feels like a very manageable thing for me to do. And it also has a little sense of adventure, because you might go to the grocery store and have to buy new ingredients. You are just creating it and doing it to do it simply. Number 15 on my list is taking a new class, whether it's for fitness or for art, whatever type of class that you are wanting to take it. Put yourself out there, go alone, try it out alone, and just have a sense of adventure when it does come to putting yourself in a new third space and trying something new, learning something new, doing something new. I feel as though in the past I've been pretty good about taking fitness classes. However, I fell out of it, and I really want to get back into that, because I feel as though when you do gym hop, they have ClassPass where you could gym hop and figure out what local gym you'd like to go to the best. And I think I might try that out, because I haven't done that in this area that I moved in yet. Or even just art classes and going to painting classes or ceramics classes, as I said earlier, and just trying to see what hobbies you actually like doing while being led and in a community setting. I feel it really inspires a lot of adventure and creativity in your own life. Number 16 on my list, I feel this is the most typical one that I see people talking about, but it is just trying to find new music, new podcasts, or trying out new genres of media, such as books or movies or TV shows, or back to music that we might not typically listen to. Now, finding new music and podcasts is easier than ever now because of the algorithm that feeds us new music. However, what I am talking about right now is going out of your way to find new music, to research it on your own. Maybe it's the fact that you are tapping into genres of things that you might have previously said no to. Again, kind of tapping into that say yes idea. You don't have to force yourself to do anything you don't want to do, but maybe it's listening to jazz and seeing if you like jazz for, an hour or so if you've never really listened to it before or kind of had an aversion to it. Again, it's just about trying to have a sense of adventure and fun when it does come to these very approachable things in life, that is music and podcasts or books or movies or TV shows. Just having fun and trying to find something new for yourself, or going to the things that you said that you didn't like and trying it again and seeing if, maybe you like it now. Who knows? Number 17 on my list is probably my most favorite, but talking to a stranger can bring you so much fulfillment and sense of adventure and feeling like you are connected to the world around you. I know personally, some of my favorite stories or moments that I have alone by myself, or honestly with others, are when we talk to strangers, because I feel as though this is a lost art. People are always in their phones or technology, whatever it is, and we don't really talk to strangers anymore just for the sake of striking up a conversation. Obviously, you have to be mindful about the people that you do talk. However, for the most part, if you see someone that you think you might be friends with, strike up a conversation with them. Tell them that you like their shirt. Tell them that you like whatever bag they have, whatever it is. I feel as though it's really easy to talk to strangers, honestly, sometimes even easier than talking to the people in your life, because you could just strike up a conversation. Start with a compliment, start with whatever, and see where it goes from there, because you might be able to make a new friend out of that. Number 18 on my list kind of goes with this idea of conversation, but it is asking better questions in conversations rather than small talk. Hit the deep questions. Ask people how they actually are. Ask people what they actually think about certain things. Ask those questions that truly pierce the heart and allow you to really get to know a person. When we go through our lives, even with our close friends or family members, or if we are in a relationship, I feel as though we can ask the same questions over and over and over again. So when you allow yourself the space to ask new questions, to even go online and ask for a list of cool questions to ask people or to get to know people or to create better conversations, I think that that is such a way to create more adventure in your life, because it allows you to connect with the people that you love on a deeper level, connect with life, and just kind of be more present in conversations. I feel like we can all have the same conversations day in and day out with the same people, but when you allow yourself to focus on having better conversations, there's a certain sense of adventure that comes with it, because it has that little risk that comes with adventure, where you might be stretching yourself socially or emotionally by some of these deeper questions that you ask, rather than the typical small talk that you do have in your life. On that note, then there's also the idea of going somewhere alone. For me, I have been someone where I love going and doing things on my own. However, I've kind of gotten into a rut where I'm not as good at it as I once was when I was in like my younger 20s. Now I'm like 25 and I have a boyfriend and I like going to places with him. However, it is so fulfilling when you go and you try a new place or go to a store or go wherever alone, because you can really be present with yourself in that moment, because it brings in that sense of presence. It brings in that sense of risk. It brings in that sense of curiosity and willingness to be open, because you are alone in a place. Maybe it's a typical place that you go to. Maybe it's a new place. However, just doing it alone, I think, allows you to have so much more presence than if you were with someone else. Number 20 on my list is creating a weekly adventure list and sticking to it. Now, what I mean by this is creating a list of 52 things, 52 places, hobbies, activities that you can choose what you are going to do every single week for the rest of the year. Maybe it's that you put all of these ideas on a sheet of paper, you cut up the piece of paper, you put it in a jar, and you pull out whatever you're going to try, and you're going to commit yourself to doing it that week. I'm not talking about like literally planning out your life for the next year and figuring out what adventure you want to do each week. I'm just saying, if you want to have more adventure in your life, then you kind of do have to create a plan for it. It can't be a rigid plan. However, I do think that when you have a plan, as in you have things to pull from, ideas, so that you don't feel like you're floundering, oh, how am I going to have more adventure in my life this week? I think that could really help in actually implementing this sense of adventure into your own life. Number 21 on my list is also one of my favorites that I've written down, but it is trying something I've never done before and being okay with being bad at it or scared while I'm doing it. I am someone where I feel as though I do have like my list of things that I stick to, but when it does come to having more adventure in your life, it's about doing the things that make you feel scared. It's about doing things that you might be afraid to be bad at, but doing it anyways. And so for me, it might look like rock climbing. I've never done that before. It kind of interests me. Am I afraid of being bad at it more than it interesting me? Yeah. And I think that that is why it doesn't interest me, is because I'm afraid of being bad at it because I'm not strong. However, I should still try it anyways. You know what I mean? It's just about trying it out. Even snowboarding, I've never done snowboarding before, and a lot of people I know have, and I really want to try to snowboard in 2026, and so I'm going to. And it's just stuff like that, and being okay with the fact that I'm probably going to be on the little bunny hill with all of the little, 5 to 10-year-olds, and there's probably going to be kids that are going to be a lot better than me, but I'll be okay with it because I am trying to tap into this sense of adventure. Number 22 on my list is creatively filming videos and taking photos. For me, this is a personal interest of mine that I feel as though I haven't really allowed myself to break into, because I would love to put on my videographer hat, my director hat, my photographer hat, and allow myself to have a day out in nature or with friends or by myself or with my boyfriend and just take photos and take videos and see what I can create and be okay if I'm bad at it, but still try and do it anyways. Number 3 on my list, and I feel like I've kind of touched on it already, but seeking out new local spots through research, not by looking at my For You page. A lot of the places that I see online are obviously from social media as to where I want to go next when it does come to food, when it does come to coffee shops, when it does come to shops or events or whatever. And a lot of it's coming from social media, and a lot of these people do get paid to do that, or it's very curated based on other people's interests. However, I want to make sure that the places that I am going to align with my interests. And so that looks like actually going on Google, going on Yelp, and looking around on a map and seeing what is around and writing it down, and then going out and trying it out, rather than just going to the cool places that I see online that everyone is like just dumping on my For You page when it does come to things to do around here. I live in San Diego, and so there's a lot of like great food spots and restaurants and bars and events. However, I don't want the only source of information that I get, what's a cool spot for me to go check out, to be from my For You page. I want it to be from my own research, because I feel as though it makes it more emotionally resonant with me, where I actually want to go do it, rather than feeling like I should go there because I saw someone else on Instagram go there, if that makes sense. And it's also fun because you can look and understand more about your local area, which gives you a sense of adventure by just trying something new and researching rather than just letting it come to you. Number 23 on my list is also another one of my favorite ones, but it's starting a passion project. For me, I have started passion projects such as this podcast, and it has brought me so much purpose in my life and so much sense of adventure, because the possibilities are endless with what you can start a passion project on. It doesn't have to be a podcast. It could be anything that you want it to be, but there's a lot of adventure that comes with trying to go down a new journey that is outside of personal development or work. It's a passion project. It's something outside of yourself that you can create for yourself, and the possibilities are limitless, because it could be something for yourself. It could be something for other people that can bring you more connection or more creativity. I think that having a passion project is so important, and it brings so much adventure into your life because it makes you feel present. You have that willingness to be open to the world. You have curiosity. You have a sense of risk that does come with creating a passion project. I think that I've gotten a little bit mixed up on my numbers because I mixed some things around when it came to the order of me talking about this. However, we are on number 25. These are the last two that I have written down. And number 25 is finding a book club or any club that you want to be a part of, and putting yourself out there and joining it solo or with one other person. However, you should not be joining this with a group of friends. This is something for you, by you, that interests you, and it is a club that you want to join. For me, I really want to find a book club, like an in-person book club, maybe an online one. However, I love reading books, and I would love to find a community that also likes to read books. I've personally never joined a club before, and I think that joining a book club can really create a sense of adventure, because you meet new people, you go to new places, you try new books that maybe you've never read before. But there are so many different social clubs that you can try out. I've gone to some events for social clubs out here in San Diego. There's just so many opportunities for joining different book clubs or clubs in general in your life that can bring a sense of adventure. Number 26 is learning something new. Now, when it comes to having a sense of adventure in our lives, I think that one of the most beautiful things about being human, being on earth, is the fact that we are able to learn day in and day out new things every single day. It could be about anything. We could learn new things about ourselves, about the people in our lives, when it comes to science or math or English or whatever topic we want to learn about. There is a plethora of new information that we can learn online, in person, day, like literally every single day for the rest of our lives. Honestly, probably for the rest of the millennia, if we really wanted to learn something new every single day. And so I think that trying to learn something new every single day, whether it is a new word or, a new recipe or a new song on your guitar or whatever it is, but learning something new every single day is going to bring so much joy and adventure into your life, because you just see how limitless, I use that word right, limitless life really is. Because when you see that you can learn something new every single day and that you're still able to tap into that student mindset, that really is what helps you stay young and helps you have a sense of adventure in your life, because we don't know everything. That's just the truth of being a human. I hope out of all of the 26 things that I just shared with you, there is at least one thing that you want to implement into your life to have more adventure in your day to day. I know that this theme of adventure and exploration is something that I'm going to be holding really close to my heart. And so I'm definitely going to be talking about it a lot more on the podcast this year. I'm honestly probably going to make a series of sorts when it does come to creating more adventure in your life, when it does come to habits or mindsets or hobbies, whatever it is. Let me know what you want to hear more of in the comments below. And also share with me, what was your favorite thing that I shared with you to implement into your life that you want to take away today? I love, love, love hearing from you guys in the comments. With all of that being said, I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give this video a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, follow along on Spotify as well. Give this podcast a 5-star review. And if you really want to follow along the To Be Known journey, you can follow on Instagram and TikTok at To Be Known Pod. The links to socials will always be in the show notes down below. And with all that being said, have a beautiful rest of your day. Stay true to you. Bye.